This evening, first, a Canadian investigator joins the case, but will it change anything? A retired RCMP officer is now in Guyana, assisting with the high-profile investigation into the death of 11-year-old Adriana Young. As the family seeks a fourth pathologist, are we any closer to the truth? Plus, change and remanded. A deadly argument turns fatal. Eubeern Bristol, also known as Eusie, has been remanded to prison for the murder of Leon Fordyce in New Amsterdam. What started as a domestic dispute ended in deadly violence. Now, the investigation deepens. Also banned for blasphemy, the ERC takes on Vybz Kartel. The Ethnic Relations Commission is calling for an immediate ban on Vybz Kartel's controversial song, God Like Jesus, condemning it as deeply offensive to Christians and other faith groups. But is this a battle over art, religion, or something more? Meanwhile, from muddy trails to modern roads, major upgrades in Ghana's hinterland. Travel to the hinterland is faster, safer, and smoother as new roads, bridges, airstrips, and river transport systems transform life in remote regions. We'll show you the communities now connected. Finally, Trump shakes up the Middle East. U.S. sanctions lifted on Syria. Speaking in Saudi Arabia, U.S. President Donald Trump has announced a lifting of American sanctions on Syria's new government. What does this dramatic foreign policy shift mean for the region and the world? Stay tuned, these stories and more tonight on Headline News Update. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for May 14, 2025. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, a retired officer from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Staff Sergeant Leonard McCoshen, has arrived in Guyana to assist with the investigation into the death of 11-year-old Adriana Young. He will officially begin work today, following strong appeals from the child's family for international assistance. Attorney General Anna Nanlal, speaking during his weekly program Issues in the News, on Tuesday evening, confirmed McCoshen's involvement, noting that his appointment honors a commitment made by President Tirfanali amid growing public concerns and international scrutiny.
The gentleman Staff Sergeant of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Leonard McCoshen, a very experienced, qualified homicide and suspicious death investigator, has been retained by the government of Guyana and is here in Guyana, has joined and will be joining the police force tomorrow to be part of the ongoing investigations. And this is a promise that the president made, which is being delivered. There are demands for the Federal Bureau of Investigation to be called in, for Scotland Yard to be called in, and also the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Well, the government has opted for this one. And this was a promise made long before those calls. And the government has delivered on this promise. And the gentleman is in Guyana and will begin his work tomorrow.
McCoshen, a seasoned investigator in suspicious death cases, has joined the local team and is already probing the high-profile case. Adriana Young went missing on April 23rd at the Doubleday Hotel in Tushin. Her body was discovered in the hotel pool following day, prompting national outcry and demands for an independent investigation. Though 3 internationally recognized pathologists have already conducted a post-mortem examination, the Young family continues to seek a 4th opinion from Trinidadian forensic pathologist Dr. Eubeern Bristol. However, Nanlal questioned the forensic value of further examinations given the time that has passed and previous procedures conducted.
There are attempts, I'm told, to get a 4th pathologist to come in. From the little that I know of pathology and what I have been advised by persons far more qualified than I am, the body in its current state, having regard to the time that would have elapsed, as well as the procedures already conducted on the body, would have deprived the body of any forensic value it may have had. So it's not competent for me to pronounce on what is the utility of pursuing another post-mortem, but that's the choice of the family. The body is theirs in law. The body has long been handed over by the police to the family. Whether another post-mortem or forensic procedure will produce anything of value would be a matter for those who are pursuing that course of action. My information is that it would be of very little or no value.
The Attorney General also expressed concerns about the impact of public criticism on the morale of the Guyana Police Force, emphasizing that the police remains the legally authorized agency for investigations.
The Guyana Police Force is the lawful authorized agency to conduct investigations in Guyana. If it is that every time persons are affected by a death, or a death assumes the type of attention that this one has assumed, the government has to import law enforcement agencies. What will that do to the morale of the Guyana Police Force?
Nevertheless, Adriana's family has expressed their lack of confidence in the Guyana Police Force, noting that they were misled and ignored by ranks of the Guyana Police Force, stating that they spent several distressing hours pleading for immediate actions to no avail. The family has also taken note of the misleading and false statement issued by the Guyana Police Force at the time the child went missing. While the government has resisted calls for the FBI or Scotland Yard to take over the case, it has secured Mokoshin's support as a compromise. Meanwhile, Adriana's funeral remains on hold as the family awaits progress in the investigation. On a different note, Eubeern Bristol, also known as Eusie, was on Tuesday remanded to prison for the murder of Leon Fordyce, called Nasty Man, following a violent domestic dispute that erupted into a fatal brawl at High Dam, Angois Avenue, New Amsterdam, on May 4, 2025. 39-year-old Bristol appeared at the Albion Magistrates Court, where he was not required to plead to the indictable charge. He will return to court on June 9th. According to the police report, the confrontation broke out around 10:30 p.m. following an argument between a group of men and 44-year-old Anganesian New Year over threats made to her son, Gregory Young. The altercation escalated into violence, resulting in New Year being stabbed twice. Fordyce received a fatal blow to the head, and another man, Sean LaFleur, being stabbed. Fordyce was pronounced dead on arrival at the New Amsterdam Hospital, while LaFleur later died while being transported to the Georgetown Public Hospital on May 5th. New Year was rushed to the hospital in a stable condition. She has since been discharged and is recovering. Investigations reveal that the dispute may have been rooted in ongoing tensions involving relationships within the neighborhood. Gregory Young was arrested and is assisted with the investigation. Regional Commander, Senior Superintendent Chief Prasad Bacchus, confirmed the incident was domestic in nature, stemming from issues involving a neighbor's son and a man's wife. In other news, in a bid to cut down on narcotics trafficking, officers from the Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit seized more than 13 kilograms of cannabis and cocaine during a 2-day series of raids in Tabatinga as part of an ongoing crackdown on drug trafficking in the region. The operations, conducted on Monday and Tuesday, were intelligence-led and targeted multiple locations. On Monday, officers uncovered 1.2 kilograms of cannabis at an abandoned house. Later that day, another raid yielded 1.6 kilograms of cannabis and 63.7 grams of cocaine at a separate residence, leading to one arrest. On Tuesday, a third operation resulted in the discovery of 10.5 kilograms of cannabis, with 2 individuals taken into custody. In total, Kanu recovered 13.3 kilograms of cannabis and 63.7 grams of cocaine. While it remains unclear if the incidents are linked, investigations are ongoing and more actions may follow. Authorities are encouraging the public to report suspicious activities, particularly in border areas like Letem, which are known transit points in the drug trade. Stick around when we return. Improve roads, bridges, airstrips, transform travel in Ghana's hinterland. And ARC calls for ban on Vybz Kartel's God Like Jesus over blasphemous content.
GCOM is currently conducting a national registration exercise. Who can register? Anyone who will be 14 years or older by June 30, 2025 and is a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent, naturalization, or is a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more. It is the civic duty and legal responsibility of all Guyanese who meet the eligibility criteria to apply for registration. By doing so, you would be ensuring that you are issued a national identification card and be included in the official list of electors for future elections, providing you meet all eligibility criteria. This registration exercise will end on May 30, 2025. You need to apply for a transfer if you now live at another address since you were registered. For more information, contact the GCOM on 2250-27729 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Our smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Mill Street, Georgetown, telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road, Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. The Ethnic Relations Commission is calling for a ban on Vybz Kartel's song Good Like Jesus, labeling it blasphemous and offensive. Dominic Gittins has more on the growing controversy.
The Ethnic Relations Commission has called for the immediate ban on the song Good Like Jesus by Jamaican dancehall artist Vybz Kartel, citing its lyrics as blasphemous and deeply offensive to the Christian community and other faith groups in Guyana. In a statement issued on Wednesday, the Commission condemned the song's portrayal of Jesus Christ as, quote, profoundly disrespectful, noting that the religious figure is revered not only in Christianity but also in Islam and certain Hindu traditions. The ERC warned that such content threatens the interfaith harmony that is vital to Guyana's multicultural society. While affirming the right to artistic expression, the Commission stressed that this freedom is not absolute and must be exercised with respect for religious and cultural values. The ERC is also in talks with the promoter of an upcoming event featuring Vybz Kartel to ensure the song is not played at the event. The Commission has called for the song's removal from all Guyanese airways and digital platforms, emphasizing its commitment to preserving public decency and mutual respect among religious groups. In a related matter, the ERC addressed public concern over the recent arrest of local artist Vybz Kartel, whose song allegedly offended the Hindu community. The Commission clarified that it did not refer the matter to the police, but has summoned the artist for internal review. Additionally, artists Richard Singh and Vision Clark have also been summoned over the controversial track Chinese, which has sparked public backlash. The ERC reaffirmed its stance against religious disrespect and pledged firm action to uphold harmony in Guyana's diverse society. Reporting for Headline News Update, Dominic Kittins.
Thanks, Dominic. Travel to Guyana's hinterland has become faster, safer, and more efficient following major upgrades on the country's transportation infrastructure, including new roads, bridges, airstrips, and river transport systems. The government's infrastructure push has modernized several key roadways across regions 1, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Roads once plagued by potholes and impassability have been upgraded, including internal roads in Mabaruma, Port Kaituma, and Madia, as well as major routes in Letem and across the Rupununi. Communities such as Matthews Ridge, Haven Hill, and Woona have benefited from newly rehabilitated access roads. 32 new bridges are being constructed along Kurupakari, Letem corridor, with additional works underway in Matthews Ridge, Rongpuru, and Tiger Creek. A new bridge is also being built across the Currentine River to improve regional connectivity. Air travel has improved significantly with upgrades in airstrips in Letem, Kaitur, Eterimbang, and Ikuru Bottom. Additional work is ongoing at Paramakatoy, Aishalton, Kokwani, and Matthews Ridge, leading to more frequent flights and better access to essential services. River transport has also seen significant upgrades. New ferries and speedboats are now in operation, and a digital booking platform, Ferry Pass, has been introduced to streamline travel. Local leaders have lauded the improvements, highlighting reduced transportation costs, better access to education and healthcare, and more substantial support for economic activities like farming, mining, and tourism. In Pukuri, a newly completed 900-meter concrete road has significantly improved daily life, while in Rockstone, residents say long overdue upgrades are helping transform their village. In Shulinap, new roads have made school commute easier for children. Overall, the infrastructure drive is a major step towards bridging the gap between the coast and the interior, boosting regional developments and improving the quality of life for thousands of hinterland residents. Don't go away after the break. Civilians return to ruined homes in Pakistan-administered Kashmir after cross-border shelling. And China expands visa-free access and scholarships for Latin America and the Caribbean.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Current smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Mill Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lenders, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
GCOM is currently conducting a national registration exercise. Who can register? Anyone who will be 14 years or older by June 30, 2025 and is a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent, naturalization, or is a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more. Anyone eligible for registration is required to visit the GCOM registration office responsible for his or her area of residence to apply for registration. Persons who are already registered could apply for a name change if they have changed their names since they were registered. Apply for corrections if there is incorrect information on their national ID card. Persons who are desirous of conducting any of those transactions must provide the relevant supporting documents. Persons who have already registered must collect their new ID cards if they have not yet done so. This registration exercise will end on May 30, 2025. You need to apply for a transfer if you now live at another address since you were registered. For more information, contact the GCOM on 225-027729 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world. China will expand its visa-free policy to 5 Latin American and Caribbean countries and provide 3,500 scholarships, 10,000 training opportunities, and other benefits under a 5-program initiative announced by President Xi Jinping. The initiative revealed at the China CELAC Forum aims to strengthen solidarity, promote development, enhance cultural exchange, and boost security cooperation between China and Latin American Caribbean countries. The entry of more than a dozen relatives of convicted Mexican drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman into the United States has triggered criticism and raised questions about immigration and diplomatic coordination. The Mexican government appeared unaware of the crossing while U.S. officials have not provided details. Al Jazeera's John Holman reports.
It's a grainy video, but it shows members of the family of El Chapo, Joaquin Guzman, heading across the border, suitcases and all, from Tijuana, Mexico to San Diego, the United States. 17 of them, including allegedly El Chapo's ex-wife, Griselda Lopez Perez. And a mystery's emerging. Why, when so many Mexicans have been denied entry, have the family of the country's most notorious drug trafficker been let in? Mexico's president, for one, wants answers.
There's no more information than what's already come out in the press. It's important to say this person was extradited by Mexico, and since he was extradited, they should be sending us information on a regular basis.
El Chapo, once famous as the world's most wanted criminal, is currently in a maximum security prison stateside. And 2 of his sons are also in US custody, Ovidio Guzman and Joaquin Guzman. Mexico's security minister on Tuesday told a radio show that he believes the 2 men's relatives coming across is part of a deal they're making with US authorities. After all, Griselda Lopez Perez is the mother of both men.
Once Mexico extradites Ovidio, he starts to make a deal with the United States, as we all saw in the news, and it's obvious that his family going to the US is part of this deal.
The bigger picture is that US President Donald Trump wants Mexico to do more to stop the cartels, to the point where he's even offered to send US troops across the border. And on the other hand, the Mexican government has at times shown irritation with US authorities for detaining or trying to do deals with its citizens without letting Mexican authorities know. Meanwhile, the violence in the Sinaloa cartel, the organization that El Chapo and 2 of his sons left behind, continues in the north of this country. John Holman, Al Jazeera, Mexico City.
Days after a fragile ceasefire between Pakistan and India, civilians in Pakistan-administered Kashmir are returning to find their villages destroyed. Missile strikes across the line of control killed dozens and left homes in ruins. Al Jazeera's Osama bin Javed reports.
Sorrow and grief in Kashmir as the guns fall silent. It's time to assess damage, and people are overwhelmed with their losses.
We were in a bunker when we received news that our house was hit by Indian shelling. I'm an 80-year-old widow, and this house had so many memories. It was a labor of love when me and my husband built it. It's all gone.
Almost 1,200 families were forced from their homes. Villagers here say the shelling from India was indiscriminate and killed and wounded civilians. They deny Indian claims that it was targeting terrorists. Mohammad Shafi didn't just lose his home, he's lost everything. His wife was among the 32 people killed in Pakistan-administered Kashmir.
I was with my family when, without warning, shelling began from the Indian side. One of the shells struck my house. When I gained consciousness, I could feel my wife's feet and a pool of blood was around me. There was intense firing. It was difficult to drag her body inside. I spent that night alone with her body as there was no one left in the village. It was a horrific experience.
Hundreds of homes were damaged or destroyed, as well as more than 24 shops.
Heavy bombardment continued heavily throughout. Behind me you can see my house was completely destroyed. We're worried how we will build it again.
Thousands of people are not sure how will they restart their lives.
Our house was destroyed by Indian shelling. We live right on the line of control and it's terrifying every time bombings begin. We appeal to the government to help us either by constructing bunkers for our safety or relocating us to a safer place.
Some have returned to their damaged homes.
The shelling was so intense that we covered our children's ears so they don't become deaf. We fled, but today we've returned to our home. We appeal to the government to restore peace.
The river is the border between India and Pakistan, and people are uncertain about their future. The United States has brokered a ceasefire, so India and Pakistan have an opportunity to talk things through.
The worst crisis between the two nuclear-armed neighbors seems to be over as the ceasefire is holding. But people here in Neelam Valley are concerned because their lives, their property, their children all remain at risk without guarantees that this will not happen again. Osama bin Javed, Al Jazeera, Neelam Valley, Pakistan-administered Kashmir.
On the first stop of a three-day visit to the Gulf, U.S. President Donald Trump addressed the U.S. Saudi Investment Forum in Riyadh with more major foreign policy announcements. He declared that American sanctions on the new Syrian government will be lifted, signaling a major shift in U.S. policy. Trump also emphasized the need to prevent Iran from advancing its nuclear program, calling for stronger regional partnerships. Al Jazeera's Hashim Al-Habari reports.
A royal welcome for US President in Riyadh. Escorted by guards riding Arabian horses all the way to the royal palace. Members of the Saudi royal family, government officials and military officers lining up to greet him. Business tycoons representing the biggest US tech companies, including Elon Musk, Jensen Huang and Sam Altman, joined a long line of CEOs eager to cement trade deals. Donald Trump and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman overseeing the signing of hundreds of billions of investments. They both joined a forum for Saudi and American business with a tour of Saudi Arabian projects.
Mr. President, I'm confident that today we are building the foundations of cooperation and the trust between our two countries. And what we have signed today is part of a greater desire to benefit from opportunities for collaboration and exchange. And to work together, Mr. President, not only in the area of economic cooperation, but also on security and peace in the region and the world.
Then, the main speech of the evening. Trump continuing to heap praise on the Saudi Crown Prince.
Thank you.
He paused and then said his administration was axing American sanctions on Syria.
I will be ordering the cessation of sanctions against Syria in order to give them a chance at greatness. The sanctions were brutal and crippling and served as an important function, nevertheless, at the time. But now it's their time to shine. It's their time to shine. We're taking them all off.
Trump's decision is a major breakthrough, likely to pave the way for other Western countries and especially the EU to do the same thing.
If I can make a deal with Iran, I'll be very...
The American president said he wants a deal with Iran, but insisted Tehran will never acquire a nuclear weapon. what's still to be discussed after the evening's formalities concluded. The kingdom wants a security pact with the US, and Washington wants the Saudis to normalize relations with Israel. Riyadh has repeatedly said that's off table until a Palestinian state is established. But this day was primarily about deal making, and the Saudis say it's money worth spending. The kingdom is looking to diversify its oil-based economy. Officials here hope deals with the US will bring more American capital and advanced technology into the kingdom to help them achieve that. The Saudis know there's no one in the region who can match their financial and political clout, and this is why they want to shape the outcome of many of its conflicts and help solve some of its decades-old disputes. And they strongly believe this could be their moment. Hashim Ahbara, Al Jazeera, Riyadh.
This brings us to the end of our regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3-day weather forecast. And that's FTV2 Headline News for this Wednesday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can tune in tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. for a rebroadcast and at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourselves and each other.